Hey lady, thanks for clicking in. Really though, thank you so much for coming by. I have an idea of just being able to spend time together and perhaps do a series of that. I tend to be somebody who thinks deeply about things, and I hope what it is that I think deeply about may benefit you. Today, I would like to dive straight into the reason why it's taken me almost 3 weeks to make my third video. I get up in my head and it causes me to freeze, and I am guessing that can happen sometimes to you too. So I hope that you can learn and feel encouraged and feel in good community by just listening to my story. My name is Jenni Page. I am a marriage and family therapist. I am the founder of the Greater Women Club, and I have a heart to make good women great. I guess it starts out, I have felt really down on myself because I want to treat this page, the Greater Women Club, or this channel, and I may or may not have all my words together. And I don't want that to be a barrier anymore. I go through and I edit these videos, and it's like I'm cutting myself up here, there, and everywhere. And I really started to think about how that is symbolic about what we do in general in life, that we get where this part is acceptable of myself, this part is not acceptable of myself. I'm not really sure about this part of myself, so I'm not really going to show it, and I'm not going to be able to express it. And that's not living life, ladies. It is holding back and keeping ourselves from being able to really put ourselves out there. I'm not going to think too much about the way I'm saying things because I can get very over analytical about those. I have a way that I enjoy speaking to people. I want things to be in the positives. I want to say things in a way that it'll just go right into your mind and settle in nice and sweet there. There's just so many ways of thinking about that, and I think that's what's gotten me stuck. And I also started to do a deep dive into what's the best way for me to be able to present myself so I can help to build this channel. Today I was looking on, top 10 stations for women's or channels for women. I don't know the YouTube slang just yet. Channels for women, women over 40, women over this, women over that. And I saw a lot of emphasis being put on things perhaps on the outside. How best to take care of our skin, how best to put on our makeup, how best to dress, how best to decorate our homes, what's the best way of being able to travel. And I love all those ideas because it keeps us engaged in life, and it keeps us learning and doing and experimenting and just evolving as people. However, I think the channel that I'd like to have for us will be deeper, because I know if I can help you feel your worth, whatever you decide to do, you will do it better and you will enjoy it better. Because I think we also know, no matter all the things that we do on the outside, we can still sometimes feel lonely. We can still feel some not good enough. And perhaps that's a little bit of where I'm coming from today, is just wanting to be enough. I, for the longest time in my life, just felt worthless. I'm just as kind as I've always been. I'm just as smart, I guess, as I've always been. And I've always had great friends. I've had a great family. I do have a great family. I do have great friends. Yet I had a chronic sense of worthlessness, that I just wasn't enough by myself. And when I think back to my early stages, prior to becoming a marriage and family counselor, therapist, I was a counselor. And I remember back then just constantly scouring like the workbooks and reading books and doing all this because I wanted to make sure I was uber prepared for anything that I was going to come into contact with. And I think that is good when you're first starting in your field of study. However, after time, that in and of itself becomes a habit, that we are reaching for things outside of ourselves in order to present better. I remember when at one point in time, I then started to I became a marriage and family therapist, and had the greatest, I had lots of people mentoring me. I've just been so blessed in the training that I've had and the people that have come into my life, and I just hope that I can pay that forward, which is also part of this channel, is being able to offer what it is that I've learned and what people have poured into me. I want to be able to pour into others. I was working with children, and I remember I wanted my children to have the very, very best, so I would go to play therapy conferences, and I'd look at all the different techniques and the different interventions, and I wanted to buy all the puppets, and I wanted to buy all the colors, and I wanted to buy, you name it, I wanted it. I wanted my kids to have everything that they could. My life came to a screeching halt in terms of relationship, and I started to live as a single mother. Had hardly anything in the account. So I gave of what I had, and what I had was white tube socks. I think I went ahead and got white and black Play-Doh, and then I also got white and black pipe cleaners. And I just remember during those 2 or 3 weeks that I started to expose the kids to that was the material that I had. I didn't have a lot to be able to work with them. And I remember during that time how blessed I was with the insight that came from something so minimal. And I felt like back then, I am a believer, and I felt like I was getting the message of, Jenni, you're enough. Just show up, give of yourself. And fast forward, I'm currently now working with a different type of population, low IQ, and of children. I scoured because I'm also doing therapy with them, but also group therapy with them, and I wanted to be able to do things with them that would make the time meaningful. And so I read all the books, and I looked at all the interventions, and every single time I'd come to these things, I'd always see how come that wasn't going to work, because I know my boys and I know the way they think. Even the most basic of things, like I want my boys to interact with the environment. So I bought a book that talks about, exposing children to the wild. And the most basic of interventions, I knew my boys weren't going to be able to do for any number of reasons. And out of desperation, I thought, well, we're just going to go ahead and do group. And I believe most of the time we would not believe my boys would be able to just sit in group and have a conversation with each other. I had this basketball, it's a little soft basketball, so in case somebody throws it at somebody, it doesn't hurt. And, the rule was that whether or not, you can only talk if you have this ball. And that's what we did. And I cannot tell you how filled up my heart is, because I have been doing process work with boys who have a hard time processing. And it's been the most beautiful thing. And the thing was, all I had to do was just show up, me. I didn't have to look at all the ways that it was supposed to be. And that brings me to right now with this Greater Woman Club channel. I have done so much research and reading about the right way to come to you, the right way to present to you. And this weekend was reading over some verses, and it was talking about a war, and as you come into the war, that you will remember that that God is with you, right? So not to worry. We're not to worry about your circumstance, but just know that come at it, do the right thing. And I thought to myself, because when I went into that particular study, I was seeking from God. I'm like, please help me. I want to be able to help women to know their worth. I want women to grow. I want good women that are doing the day-to-day, that are doing the grit, that are doing the hustle, that don't really see themselves as anything amazing, but are very much amazing. Very much. So ladies, I got caught up there. I have no idea if I finished what it was that I was wanting to say, because, I'm working on a camera that pretty much cuts me off about every 10 minutes. That's okay. We're going for it anyway. And have you ever had swirl, like, I'm on a roll and I'm really talking and all of a sudden something happens and where does my mind go? But anyway, I am... Okay, now I remember. Thank you so much for sticking with me. But anyway, like this weekend, I was going in for a study, and I was like, God help me I'm struggling. I want to be able to do more, and it was the coolest thing, because then, okay, the verses were about the war, and not to be worried, and that God comes with you, and I started to like expand that out a little bit, because I thought to myself, well, I am in war, because I'm in war against consumerism. The message that you're not enough just as you are. Like you have to have these things, and all the self-criticisms. Like I started to think about like the enemies, right? And I certainly have the enemies of you're not good enough. Who wants to? I mean, I'm speaking from my own portion here. Who would like to speak to you? Are you just rambling? I mean, is what you are having to say going to resonate with anyone? Are my friends and family going to think I'm the weirdest, for going for this sort of thing? And so at any rate, we can name a million things when it comes to that sort of stuff. And those are all the enemies. And I thought, you know what? I got to focus on my heart and what it is that I want to do, like my personal motivation. And my personal motivation is to come to be with you right now in this moment, and to be someone I hope you will see as wholesome, someone that is sincere, authentic, has some experience, has lived a life. I was pleasantly surprised seeing that a lot of YouTube channels or digital creators or content, anyway, what I'm doing right now, that a lot of them are over 40 years old, because they have at that time probably perfected a little bit more of the craft and felt more comfortable, and certainly I'm there. I am so thankful for my history. I'm sure along the way, and all these different hours that I will spend here in front of the computer, probably in the computer when I get it all, but I just think it's nice sometimes to be able to sit and spend time with each other. Take a minute to consider what I've considered today. You have your own considerations. I would love, as our community grows, to be able to get the comments and the questions, because I do have a heart to be able to do a time together series. I just think in general I'm the type of person who consistently tries to learn and to be better than yesterday, and because I'm just geared that way, I thought, well, perhaps I'll be able to inspire you to do the same, and I'll attract other people that are wanting to elevate themselves from where they are. I oftentimes also have a prayer that I want to lift up from, when I get involved in so much of the stress of the day and the worry of the day that, our minds can sometimes get very narrow in our thinking. We lose some creativity, and I oftentimes pray that I can rise up above and see all that there is to see, so I can come up with more strategic plans to get where it is that I want to get. And all the time, I just want people to feel included, and I want their voices to be heard, and I want them to feel their very best about themselves, because I think from that place they're always able to give their very best. So I hope that somewhere in the middle of this time together, you're feeling connected with me. I am feeling connected with you. I have been able to do this entire talk stream, and I think I'm just, for the most part, going to publish. I'll see if there's any like big, huge spaces, because I certainly want to honor your time. And at the same time, sometimes we just want to take a minute. So perhaps in the pauses of what I say that, you'll have time to think about your own situation when you have felt like you weren't enough. And honestly, the only way that you're going to know that, well, I'm not going to say only, because there's always options, but a big part of figuring out that you are enough is putting yourself out there. So I go before you, doing these videos, working on this channel, dreaming up all the ways that I want to help you grow, that I am enough. I'm just going to show up. And I hope you enjoy. And if you would like to continue to spend time with me and dive down the rabbit holes, then I hope you will subscribe, like and subscribe. And so, thank you so much for your time, ladies, and I look forward to next time. And I think I have a mind of being able to evaluate our days. I think that's kind of where I want to go next. But please always leave comments and questions so that we can continue the conversation with each other. Because I believe what we live is common to one another. I believe that when we come into our centers, we can all relate to each other. And the original Greater Woman Club was all about somebody coming in and giving their story and talking about the thread of that leading up to where they were today, and then other ladies being able to connect to that. And it was always just a very inspiring time. So to the best of our ability, we're going to try to do that online. And I've got some great ideas about where to go in the future with Greater Woman Club. Right now, though, I'm going to just continue to spend time with you, and looking forward to the future. Using personal acceptance, and I invite you. I'm sorry, and I invite you to do the same. Bye.